There's been a lot of focus on the rich in recent months. Part of that comes from the focus on the 1% that Barack Obama has made a big part of his campaigning. As you know, he has talked a lot about the need to increase taxes on the very wealthy so that the benefits can be distributed to more of other Americans. Which leads us to ask the question, what do Americans think about having rich people in our society? Well, we actually had asked questions about the rich back in the 90s, so we thought we would update them, and the results surprised us. Basically, Americans are just as positive about the rich now as they were back then. Look at this question, for example. Does America, the United States, benefit from having a class of rich people or not? Back in 1990, those many years ago, 62% of Americans said yes. Now, that's 63%. Isn't that interesting? What about personal views of being rich? Would you like to be rich? Well, maybe that seems like a dumb question, but when we ask that of Americans, we find 63% of Americans say yes, they would like to be rich, and that's actually slightly higher than back in 1990. By the way, Republicans are about the same as Democrats in wanting to be rich, and let me reiterate that. Democrats are just as likely to say they want to be rich as Republicans. Isn't that interesting? Another question, how likely is it that you will be rich? Well, that depends on your age. Hope springs eternal in the breast of young people out there across this country, 47% of whom, and these are 18 to 29s, say it's at least somewhat likely that in their lifetime they will be rich. Isn't that great? We got a lot of young people today who are becoming entrepreneurs, and maybe a lot of them are looking at Google and Facebook and saying that's going to be me at some point in the future. Well, the probability of one being rich declines as one gets older. By the time you get up to 65 and older Americans, only 8% tell us they think it's likely that they will be rich. So reality has kind of come home to older Americans. By the way, that's changed a little. Back in 1996, we reached a high point of 34% of Americans who said it was likely they would be rich, and today that's 28% for all Americans taken together. One final question on the rich. You often hear that, yeah, he may be rich, people say, but he's not happy. Americans, however, are actually a little more positive about the happiness of the rich than they were back in 1990. Look at that, 36% of Americans say the rich were less happier than they were back in 1990, and now that's down to 27%. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Gallup Editor-in-Chief.